Hi, it's Marisa from BumblebeeApothecary.com. Today I'd like to show you how to make fermented pickles. This is a method for how to make crisp probiotic pickles. Pickles are one of the most popular fermented foods. They're what a lot of people get started with when they're new to lacto fermentation. But one of the things with homemade fermented pickles is that they can end up mushy and not crisp if you don't do a few things right. So let's jump right into the recipe, and as I'm showing you how to do this, I'm going to talk about different tricks that you can use to make sure that your lacto fermented pickles stay crisp and delicious. So a little bit of a disclaimer slash explanation here. I don't have cucumbers ready in my garden quite yet, and I wasn't able to find pickling cucumbers anywhere. So normally I would show you how to do this with whole pickling cucumbers, but I was only able to get these kind at the grocery store for right now. So I'm just going to slice them up, and they're just going to be dill pickle slices. So the first thing that I'm going to do is what I am choosing for one of the methods that you can use to make sure that your pickles stay crisp, and that is to use a grape leaf. You can also use something like an oak leaf or even black tea leaves. Those all contain things called tannins, which help keep the pickles nice and crisp. Another trick that you can do that I've tried, and it's always worked perfectly for me, is to buy a jar of Bubby's pickles from the store. Make sure that they're the dill kind that are fermented with probiotics, not any of the varieties with sugar added. And then add 1 or 2 tablespoons of the brine from those Bubby's pickles into the pickles that you're making. And so there's something with that culture that helps to prevent them being mushy. They stay nice and crisp even if you store them for a long time. I like to make lots of pickles every summer, and I always store them in our basement where it stays cooler, and they stay nice and crisp all year. For this batch of pickles, I'm going to be using the grape leaf method, so I'm going to start off by putting 1 grape leaf in the bottom of my jar. And then, like I said, if I was using whole cucumbers, I'd start filling my jar with those. But since I'm using these and I'm going to slice them, I'm going to go ahead and get started slicing. Another trick to making sure that your pickles stay nice and crisp is to cut off the blossom end of your pickles. So that's this end, this is the stem end, this is the blossom end. And if you cut off that blossom end, it'll help them stay crisp because the blossom end contains enzymes that can turn them into mushy pickles. As my jar is starting to fill up with the cucumbers, I'm going to go ahead and add a few other items. I'm going to add some cloves of garlic. I like just adding these and keeping them whole in there, so I'm just going to peel those and just add them straight to the jar. You can also cut them smaller if you like, it's really up to you. And then I'm also going to add some onion. This is just a regular yellow onion. You can use a white onion. I think actually the white onion is the nicest for these, but it's okay. You can use what you have. And I'm just going to kind of roughly cut this up. It doesn't need to be really small. And since this was such a big onion, I don't think I'm going to even use all of the pieces. I'm just going to put several in there. And then before the jar gets too much more full, I'm going to go ahead and add my dill. You want about, a good sized sprig of it, and we're just going to tuck that in there. Next I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of mustard seed, about a couple teaspoons to a tablespoon of black peppercorns, and then 2 tablespoons of a good quality mineral salt. I'm using Celtic sea salt, which is my favorite. Okay, this jar is filled pretty much to the perfect level. It's just where the jar starts to curve, called the shoulder. You don't want it to get too full. And then I'm going to add my second oak leaf. Just tuck that in there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a fermenting weight. This is optional, but it does help keep everything submerged so that nothing will mold. So I'm just going to kind of press that down, and then I'm going to fill the jar with filtered water. Great, I like to kind of tap it or jiggle it, make sure the air all rises to the top. And then we're going to put a lid on. You can use a variety of different fermentation lids. Lately, I've been liking this method that I learned from Monica Corrado in my training to become a certified GAPS coach. And she likes using these metal canning rings with the flat regular lid. It's really nice because everybody has them. If you buy the glass mason jars, then you're gonna have the lids too. It's not something extra you have to go out and buy. And they're really easy. You just put them on nice and tight. And you can see right now how you can press down and you can hear that little button pop up and down. And then you're just going to leave this on your counter at room temperature for 3 days. You'll see that the lid will become tight so that you can't pop the button up and down anymore. And at that point, you know they're ready. And then go ahead and keep them in the refrigerator after that. So now you know how to make some healthy and delicious dill pickles that are lacto fermented and full of probiotic bacteria for a healthy digestive system. There are things that you can do with the brine too, so definitely don't throw that away once your pickles are all eaten. You can take shots of it or even a whole glass of it if you're brave enough. It'll stop a cold in its tracks if you feel like you're coming down with a cold. You can also use the brine if you're making meat stock or bone broth. Just make sure to cut back on the salt in your broth or stock recipe. But you can add that, and even though the heat is going to kill the live probiotic bacteria, it's still beneficial and it adds a wonderful flavor to broth and stock. Feel free to change the ingredients around. You can even keep it really simple and just do cucumbers and water. It's still delicious. One thing that you always have to add is the salt, because the salt keeps pathogenic bacteria from growing and keeps it the beneficial bacteria only. Your pickles will probably develop a cloudy brine, and that's good. It might even be kind of fizzy. That's also very good. It just means it's alive and happy and full of good bacteria. Bubbles are also a really good thing to see. You want to make sure that it has a pleasant sour taste. If you see something that looks bad and it's only on the top, you can oftentimes scrape that off and the rest of it below will be fine. Also check how it smells. Like I said, you want a nice sour smell, nothing disgusting or rotten smelling. And then if all those first steps are good, you want to make sure that it tastes good, that it's just pleasantly sour and doesn't taste spoiled. So those are the tests that you can go through to make sure that your ferments are happy and have not gone bad. If there's ever any doubt though, just don't eat it. Put it in your compost or something like that. All right, I hope that you enjoyed seeing how to make your own fermented, healthy, probiotic, lacto fermented pickles. And I have more fermenting videos. I'll link some of those below, so be sure and check them out. Let me know what are your favorite things to ferment. I'll have some links in the description box below to fermenting equipment, some different lids that you can get, the glass weights that I'm using, as well as one of my favorite places to buy organic groceries, produce, frozen meats, and pantry staple items. I'll also have a link below to my blog post that has the full written recipe and a printable recipe card if you'd like to grab that. And in the description box, check out some links to some freebies, some ebooks, and printables, labels, checklists, things like that. Okay, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with anybody else who you think would like to learn how to make their own lacto fermented probiotic pickles that do not get mushy. Here on my channel, I show you how to make nourishing recipes for nutrient-dense food, natural remedies, and DIY skincare and home products. So if those are something that you're interested in and you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I get out 2 videos every week. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.